Internal Audit, and if you could introduce yourselves and then make a statement about the past year and then talk about where you are this year with the budget.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Mark Swan. I'm the Metropolitan Auditor. To my right is Carlos Holt, who's the Internal Audit Manager. And in the audience in the back has Sharonda Cole, who helps monitor our budget on a month-to-month basis. Just want to let you know, Mayor, that the Metropolitan Nashville Office of Internal Audit is this month completing 5 years of being an independent function outside of finance. During that time period, there's been over 58 audit reports issued, 13 in the last year, and of that 5 years, we delineated over 554 recommendations for management to help them in their processes and managing departments on a day-to-day basis. 92 of those in the past 12 months. And then out of that, we have 78 entities that we have identified on our audit universe. Out of that, in that 5-year period, we've had some type of audit in 56 of those entities, basically giving about 70% coverage of our audit universe. Obviously, we'd like to be able to say we could do all entities in a shorter time frame, but part of that is the audit committee's desires of how frequently they want audits done and the coverage that we have. We do believe we've hit most of the high-risk areas in the last 5 years. There's 1 or 2 that are on our top-tier risks that we haven't been, but they're planned for this year. During that same time period over the last 5 years, we've participated and issued 33 investigation reports, 5 in the last 12 months, and handled over 280 alerts from our Metro Nashville Integrity Line, which involves getting with each department head, having them investigate if need be, or offer our service for investigations on those areas. All these accomplishments could not have been materialized without the dedication of the internal audit staff. I want to thank them for their efforts and their assistance, and also the cooperation of our audit clients, the department heads and managers throughout Metro. The staff continues to work on professional certification to learn how to audit better. They continue to learn more about Metro's processes and policies and building up their institutional knowledge, and all to improve their ability to serve the Metro citizens. We have a great internal audit staff. Same thing, I'd compare them to what I've seen in the private industry, equal or better in that area. And again, I also want to recognize their effort as we continue to go in salary restraints. We have a lot of new people or families growing, so it's always an issue of trying to make ends meet on a day-to-day basis for their families. And hopefully in the future years we can release some of those constraints going forward. I also would like to thank the Metropolitan Nashville Audit Committee, which Mr. Reevling serves ably for us, for their oversight of the internal audit function and receiving the financial external report along with our internal audit reports and other issues as they come along. And their oversight is greatly appreciated. For the 2% cut for the Office of Internal Audit, as you know, we've been over the years been growing, so we're kind of growing. In the past, we've had a lot of cuts, but we've been growing into our budget, so it wasn't a big.
Right, I mean, you're a new department that started from nothing. And,
yeah. So we've been growing, so now we're getting closer to that area, and that 2% represents $22,500. What we propose is that we would continue to cut our management consulting budget by another $17,000, which will bring it down to about $85,000 for the year, and then another $5,000 from various other object accounts that we can live without going forward. So, we prefer not to have to cut our consulting budget, but the council and the finance department has been very good about helping us carry over money so we can't spend on the consulting budget, which has kept our consulting budget around $120,000 each year. Again, we've had issues in getting contracts out going forward and delays in that process, and so we plan to have a request to carry forward again, maybe about $50,000 or so, which would keep us still about $120,000, $150,000 for consulting for the year. As I said, we continue to be very thankful for the opportunity to serve the officials and the boards and authorities and agencies and management and citizens of Metro Nashville. If you've got any questions.
The audits you've done, are most of the audits that are done, are they done like in a rotation, or are you responding to requests from the council or from us or from somebody?
Well, our plan, we do not have necessarily rotations. We do a kind of a risk assessment and looking at the last time an audit was done as part of that risk process, but the departments that have the bigger budgets, the bigger number of employees, we're going to be there more often. So some of those audits, I say, like the schools, we've been there multiple times, police multiple times now. So those are areas that kind of help drives that, and the committee is responsible for approving the plan and that strategy. We do not have a set strategy for a cycle basis, so we try to keep lower risk ones, but we still try to make sure we cover the high risk, but also have a breadth of coverage that we don't ignore the low risk areas. So we do go look at the low risk areas. But in the last 12 months, I would say we've been following Phil Williams data several times. But in the sense of this year, we issued the police crime stat report, the county clerk, Davidson County clerk report, the criminal court clerk report, all basically following after a news reporter on those requests.
Right, so your schedule isn't always totally under your control. You're responding to events or...
Responding to events, and we've been able to do so far, and those are approved by the committee, though, as we go forward. They approve all audits.
We shouldn't give Phil Williams full credit. The Channel 4 one, I believe,
Channel 4, yes.
was not, just in terms of giving due or due. I'm not sure I came around.
Take a second and explain for the general public what it means to be an independent auditor and how you go about developing and establishing a work plan and what that really means, and the independence piece is
the independence is that outside of my budget, I have no influence from the mayor's office or the council's office, except and as there are council members on the audit committee, and there's council and the mayor's representative is the director of finance by position. But those, again, they're not one voice of influence. They have to convince the majority of that committee, and we do have 2 committee members from the community who the council or the mayor have no influence in. The Nashville chapter of Certified Public Accountants Society appoints whoever they wish to have on the committee, and the Nashville Chamber of Commerce appoints whoever that is without the mayor's input or the council. So in that sense, I believe it provides an independent, it was approved by the charter for that structure. How we do the plan is that we try to go through and identify all the universe. One of the big questions that we continue to struggle with, what is the metropolitan government and what is the responsibility of the committee and the Office of Internal Audit from an audit perspective. We push the envelope some, we keep finding and retract and grow from there. But that's part of the issues that we have. So we try to include all the component units. Let's consider that as part of our plan, and then see how we go from there, and until we get some pushback. And we've received some pushback on some of that in this past year. Others where I thought we might get pushback, we've been able to go in, and it's full accepting of our right to produce an audit. The independence comes back to the reporting phase. I think more than anything else is, I believe that, I don't know, I was not here in the prior administration, but I believe there was some perception that maybe the prior administration may have influenced what was in a public report. What actually got released for full transparency. So as part of an independent audit function, what goes in the final report and that transparency is a determination of the audit staff and the Office of Internal Audit primarily, and primarily my position to decide if something should be in a report or we do not have enough objective information to put in a report.
So as you look ahead to your work for the next, let's say, fiscal year, the next 12 months or something, there are those departments that you assess have a certain risk profile, I'm assuming, that has components in it like number of employees, size of budget, things like that. They're just routine work that you're going to do. And then there are times where you'll respond to circumstances, whatever they might be, right? It's a combination of both.
And that's primarily what we've been, I have tried and struggled to try to have a more robust risk base and trying to say what are the risks that Metro faces. But with such a diverse government, it's very difficult to try to accumulate that. We did try to attempt a risk survey on this cycle, and there were some that, I didn't get a great participation in that process. So we got to look at new ways of maybe doing more footwork doing that. But the one that keeps coming back on the one risk that did float up to the top was, again, on employee salaries and how we can continue expecting to continue to get the work done with the salaries being where they are today, and again, the constraints on being able to move people forward and reward them for the work that they're doing.
Right. Well, and then for the viewers, actually your department was created through a charter amendment process that was voted on by the public and established per the charter an independent auditor who functions as you just described. Well, thank you for, number one, your success in building the department. I mean, that's really what you've done for the last 5 years, and you've done it well, and we appreciate that, and for your hard work and keeping helping us manage the government. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.